Salute Nick Streets. The Knicks take their second L on the season, back-to-back losses, and this one stings, man. Losing in Milwaukee, a frustrating night where the Knicks had control of the game at halftime, built up a solid lead, 12 points, but a 15-point turnaround in the third quarter of doom continues, and we've got some questions, man, to be asking in this one, guys. We have a poll in the chat, and welcome in to the post-game live. The Knicks are now 2-2 on the season, right? Some levels of concern there, right? Not going too crazy tonight personally, but a frustrating loss in this one where the Knicks just had control. But there are mitigating circumstances. Obviously, no Deuce McBride, no Yabusele. Cat is banged up, and he's not himself right now. And just a quintessential Cat game, right? Frustrating. And we're going to break it all down. We did get a good spark from some players that I thought did step up. I thought Landry Shamet hit some big threes, and he was a big catalyst as to how the New York Knicks had a big halftime lead. But that third quarter of doom, man, continues, and we just can't let that continue to happen, right? I thought Kolek had a mixed game, and it was frustrating at times, but he was aggressive, which I liked. So there are some concerns, guys. The poll in the chat tonight, right? We rock a poll every single night, and this poll tonight is, what concerns you the most, right? Option number one, just need Deuce and Mitch back, right? Option number one, if you're that inclined, we are missing Deuce, and it's not a cop-out. He is arguably the fifth best player on the team, and Mitch obviously is a starter as well, right? Cat not himself. Second option is Cat is hurt and sorry at the moment, right? Cat is hurt and sorry at the moment. Third option, the bench is suspect, right? So that could concern you. And fourth, last but not least, the backup point guard spot, right? So have your say, get your comments in the chat right now. Replay squad as well. Let us know. Knicks are 2-2, and it's so early in the season to kind of pinpoint trends and things, but we are seeing some things from last season that are frustrating. Cat being completely neutralized in this one by wings, and Kyle Kuzma was physical. I thought the Knicks kind of got a solid whistle throughout the game. It wasn't the reason we lost, and then we got a bad whistle at some point. But a couple of real net negatives. Cat, Josh Hart absolutely killed us tonight, man. And well, I don't want to scapegoat specific individuals, but man, when you're up by 12 at the half, you can't be losing the game, man. 111 to 121, right? That is a 20-point capitulation in the second half. But shout out to everyone in the building joining us. Chris Gotti, Shez V, Prezi the Boss, Johnny Cheeba's in the house. Salute to Ernest. Give us your thoughts. Ernest says Cat's injury, nothing to do with how horrible he performed. So we saw some follies and decision making, Ernest, that really frustrated me. The hooking as well, but I think we're figuring out our offense still. And you see many plays where the ball was swinging. I mean, the ball movement was pretty. When the second quarter was one of the best quarters of the season so far, fam. And it was sparked by some of the bench. So Tyler Kolek, I thought, was instrumental. And Landry Shamet hitting big threes to help the Knicks overcome a deficit and get up by 12 at the half. So we did have a very excellent second quarter. But as I pull up the stats for the game, fam, you'll see the wire to wire. It was absolutely incredible how this game swung. And my God, it swung when Giannis Antetokounmpo said, "This is my city," as well. So it's getting a lot of reactions, but Giannis finished with 37 points, fam. And he showed why he's one of the best players in the world right now, not only in the NBA, but look at that wire to wire, man. That's like up, down, all around. And it's crazy. 12 turnovers. I thought the Knicks didn't turn it over as much, but it was a lot of side to side, and the Bucks were physical and blocking the passing lanes with their length too. Every time we came to help on Giannis, it freed up the shooters of Green and Ryan Rollins. Just absolutely killed us with the threes as the Bucks shot 42%, fam, and the Knicks only shot 32% on this one, and we did get to the line quite a lot. An excellent performance from Jalen Brunson, who hurt his groin, went to the bench for a timeout, and then came back and helped finish the game. But a couple of sloppy turnovers, right? He was struggling to get separation, right? I thought we did a good job getting him in foul trouble, and that is where I think the Knicks should have been more aggressive getting into the paint. Probably a small glimmer of positive signs from Jordan Clarkson. I thought he got into the game in that second quarter, and everyone was feeling it. The Knicks just looked good as a team in that second quarter. But whatever's happening at halftime, it's just we've got to figure out, a better way to come out strong and really cement our aggression and let them know, man, that this is our ball game. Fam. Gray says Knicks have no identity, and that's the coach's responsibility. I still think we're figuring our identity out, fam. Yeah, it's so early in the season, but you're right. I think it's good when the ball's moving and everyone's kind of getting open shots, and sometimes they're not going down. When the Knicks went on that amazing run, they were all going down. But I'm a little bit weary. My biggest concern, and maybe I should have put this in the chat, is we're hunting threes too much. There is a fine line. Yes, I was one of the people last season that said, yeah, we need to shoot more threes. But at the same time, I would like us to also attack the basket. Now, most of the looks we're taking are fine, Today there wasn't really many cat logo forced shots outside of that terrible, terrible step back, one-legged step back with 5 seconds on the shot clock. But outside of that, most of them were decent looks. It's just you live by the three, you die by the three. And when they're going down in one quarter, yeah, you go up by 12. And then the next quarter, if they're not going down, you could go down by 12. And we've seen that firsthand against the Boston Celtics, where we were the ones, forcing torture on them by getting stops and getting out and running. And the thing is, when you're missing those threes, it's a long rebound. It can kickstart a fast break on the other end. And I think it will get better when we do have Mitchell Robinson. Now, when we are missing shots and Mitch is out there to rebound, that is going to help a lot. But we really didn't get much out of Huck Porty tonight, man. There's a possession that I'm going to bring up that I thought we really missed Huck Porty, right, on the short roll a couple of times. Let me bring it up right now. This possession here. Mikal Bridges kind of looked Huck off, and then look, Clarkson looking the wrong direction as well. So we're going to pull up the grades, continue to shout you guys out. James Baker says, CT, we're figuring things out. Yet we are. That's why I'm frustrated and I'm angry, but yeah, I'm not getting too down on what lies ahead. We've just got to keep our focus. New players, guys got to buckle up and step up. No Deuce McBride, again, due to personal reasons. But yeah, Huck making good position twice, and they didn't find him on that one, unfortunately. We had a play where Giannis traveled. He took 5 steps, fam, and they didn't call that one. CC says, where's the grit? Deuce and Mitch are definitely needed. 110%. That's why, yeah, we could be frustrated that because we had enough to win a game. You're up 12. But like I said, at the same time, we're a completely different team with those two guys. They're starting caliber guys. So yeah, I see some criticism from Huck, Ernest, but yeah, I wouldn't say Huck is useless. I mean, he's a young player still finding his way, but guarding Giannis is tough. Yeah, even OG struggled. But I did think that they looked off Huck a couple of times. But yeah, defensively he needs to grow and be more consistent. But yeah, this is one of the best possessions of the game early. A paint spray, OG Anunoby gets into the paint, and look, the bright signs from Mikal Bridges. He looks like a completely different player this season, guys. And obviously Jalen Brunson too. Loved Mikal's aggression too. So I'm not going to be all negative tonight because Mikal Bridges does deserve some huge shout outs because he has turned the corner, I think, as a New York Knick. Chris says, is Trey Jemison injured? No, fam. He's just a two-way player, and I think they just want to monitor his games limitation, fam. As we saw the first game on NBC, NBA on NBC on Peacock as well. For those that missed it, they did the player introductions as well. So they're going to make sure that they do the player introductions. It was interesting. I didn't expect this, but the players are basically announcing their names themselves in the starting five. So that was very interesting. Overall, I thought it was a solid feed. Reggie Miller is difficult, man, to listen to, but Mike Tirico and obviously Jamal Crawford, I really appreciate. Yeah, I think, like CC says, I think grit. Jose G, appreciate you, says, yeah, Rollins we let him get off, definitely. We can't be letting that happen. Unfortunately, I just think we probably needed to play Giannis 1v1, and it might sound crazy, but, Giannis, if he starts to get everyone else involved, then it's danger for the rest of the guys. So this is the play where Yabusele, fam, hurt his knee. So we got Yabusele banged up. So he was a no-go, and it looked like he sprained his knee, right? Looking a little bit out of shape, and I agree. I think he needs to trim down. But yeah, he was dealing with the knee sprain, and Deuce dealing with the personal issues, right? Not going to speculate. I've seen some comments, but I do think it's obviously family related with Deuce McBride. So our prayers and blessings and well wishes go out to Deuce McBride and his family. I don't think Deuce is going to be out for too long, but he needs personal time. He needs his privacy respected, but it's not an injury. So OG Anunoby was able to get going early in that second quarter as well, but he finished really slow. Whatever they were doing with OG, it was just a lot of forcing into traffic, side to side action. And look, a couple of boneheaded calls from Cat and plays. Also, we drove into traffic and got charging calls, as well as got called for blocking fouls on the other end. So our team defense needs work. But yeah, these matchups are definitely testing us early in the season, right? A very, very young season, right? And we're going to talk about the grades. And obviously, we've given Mikal Bridges a nice shout out. But look, Jalen Brunson's performance today. How did you guys see the Cap, JB's performance in this one? He finished 14 of 25, man. Efficient, but 1 of 5 from downtown. Got to the line, 9 of 7. 36 points. Again, but a -9. But obviously he closed the game out during that frustrating run by the Milwaukee Bucks late. It's amazing that you see Cat, man, +2. Landry was a +5. Tyler Kolek was a +4. But it was a huge game of runs, and those guys were in the second quarter. So that's one of the reasons why you kind of see, like, okay, man, Cat +2. There's no way Cat was a plus in this game. But yeah, he was out there in the second quarter when the Knicks were up by 12. Got that big run. But look, -18 from Josh Hart as we pull up the grades in this one, man. This is going to hurt. But for the first time this season, man, I'm giving out not 1, not 2, but 3 sorry suspect grades, fam. The worst of their kind. And I got to feel like Hart, he was both. He was sorry and suspect in this one, man. They were really cheating off of him. Hit a 3 early, but missed a couple of other threes. And look, the offense just stalled when Josh Hart was out there, man. I love his grittiness, his rebounding. But offensively, I felt that our offense really went into a funk. when Hart was out there. Huck Porty too struggled to defend. I know he's a young player and he's going to be a lot better, and he's going to use these opportunities to grow and get better as a player in this league. But yeah, he was found out. He was found out in this one. And obviously Carl Anthony Towns, right? For whatever reason, and I'm going to judge you if you're out there and you're playing and you and the club have made the decision to play, then you deserve to get fair criticism or critique on the performance. And if you feel like the injury is too much, you should have a seat. But Cat, I appreciate that he's battling through it, but right now, man, it's just not helping the team out. And it was a really super, super frustrating game as Brunson had 15, fam, at the first quarter. And he was absolutely on fire early, too. Um, but look, man, it's early days. And, I know we're going to continue to talk about championship this season. But if we're going to win a championship, we need our second option, sometimes first option, Karl Anthony Towns, to be so much better, man. So much better. As Mellow Mike, shout out, says, when will the fouls continue for Towns? When will they stop? It's just it's a combination, fam, of I think his physical limitations right now, but also mentally, man. The folly, and this is on Mike Brown to get the best out of Cat, right? Tibbs, look, he's out of a job now. That could have been one of the reasons why Tibbs is out of a job, right? Players can get coaches fired, man. And Mike Brown needs to get through to Karl Anthony Towns with some of these decisions that he's making, man, poorly. Altieri Walter says the Cap tried to do too much on his own. Ball movement stopped. Yeah, I felt like we played into the hands of their defense, fam. They were really good in the passing lanes, and Brunson just kind of a couple of turnovers. They got out in transition. The crowd got into it. And then I felt like, Brunson then started to force it a bit. You're right. Jose G says Towns in his head right now. Yeah, we are praying up for Deuce. Appreciate y'all sticking by Deuce. We've got Jay Davis, Danny in the building. Johnny Chiba says Knicks defended Giannis better under Tibbs. Yeah, look, under one game, I would say definitely. I think last year we defended Giannis quite well, but I think the biggest thing now, Johnny, is the Bucks look like they've got a couple more options that are comfortable. So Giannis knows that he doesn't need to force it, and I think Giannis did a phenomenal job just kicking it out when he needed to, fam. And there's so many game-changing plays. Like, think of the Kolek reverse layup that got blocked by Taurean Prince. Also, the drive and layup by Mikal Bridges that got blocked by Giannis, man. There's only one or two players, in the game that can make that kind of play. And that's Giannis right there, fam. He changed the game. I mean, we were kind of ready to run away with this one, but he just said no on my home floor. And as much as we hate that, you got to respect that, because that's the player Giannis is, man. He will not let his team lose in some of those instances. And we just got to be better at, anticipating his movements, his decisions, and get in the passing lanes. Play him 1v1 straight up. If he wants to pass it out, get in that passing lane. If he wants to force it, let OG do his best. 1v1. Let Huck Porty battle 1v1, right? The thing was with Giannis, he can hurt you with 35 points or 40 points. But if that's all they're getting, you can still win the ball game. And I think when Giannis is starting to get the shooters going and then he's going, man, it's a nightmare. And I think that's what basically happened tonight. But as I say, guys, on the offensive side, I think Josh Hart really hurt us, fam, and with some of their lack of production. And again, I never question a Knicks player's heart or hustle in this one. It's purely based on their productivity, decision making, and just how effective they were able to be. And Hart was just completely sorry tonight. Huck Porty as well, and Karl Anthony Towns. But there were some bright spots. I mean, I think Kolek is kind of a mixed bag at the moment, which is, is fair enough. You know, a couple of games in to his career where it's kind of meaningful minutes. And I'm not really going to count anything Kolek did under Thibodeau because that was kind of, you know, barely scratching the surface. This is basically Kolek's career starting now, and it's at the very early stage. And I think he made some nice aggressive moves, you know, got the ball moving in that second quarter. And I think Clarkson, look, if Clarkson can improve on tonight and give us a bit more, then, you know, I'll grow to accept, you know, him as a real impact player off our bench. Yeah, you see there, doesn't quit on the play. Johnny Chiba says Hart was invisible most of the game. Danny says, I think so far Brown's system isn't working, and your thoughts on that? I think it's really early to tell, Danny, but yeah, you could say it's not working for 4 quarters. You know, it's not completely effective. Yeah, we did beat 2 opponents that kind of played into our hands. No Garland, no Hunter in the first game. Second game, you know, Boston are Boston. They're lacking right now. And so, you know, I think the book ain't written right now on Mike Brown, but I'm liking his substitutions. You know, I'm liking that he's given that Huck Porty the run, and just he didn't repay the faith, you know, when it comes to, um, you know, to trusting some of these guys. Look, Diawara got in for 30 seconds, fam. I had to check the box score again. I'm like, man, what did Diawara do? I missed the play. Salute to Buzzer Beater in the building. I would have loved to see Diawara get some more burn, but maybe he noticed that the floor spacing wasn't great. But look, Kolek, +4, 5 points, 2 of 5, 1 of 3 from downtown. You know, respect. He's getting his feet wet, is Tyler Kolek. Obviously, we hope for more, and he's trying to take on that backup point guard role and make it his own, right? As we look in on the poll in tonight's chat, ladies and gentlemen, right? So we ask you, what concerns you the most after 4 games as we face a home and home against Chicago coming up? And those are going to be tricky. So we're going to look around the league, take a look at the standings, and get your early impressions on the season, right? But leading in the poll says, what concerns you the most? Option number 1, we just need Deuce and we need Mitch back. That's at 50% right now. So I feel that and I respect that. I think Deuce and Mitch they're starters, and you know, whilst we have enough to win these games, right? I'm not worried for the kind of long haul. Second option is Cat is hurt and sorry at the moment at 28%, and that's about right. Bench is suspect at 19%, and 3%, last but not least, is the backup point guard. As Buzzer Beater says, health is our starter right now. Yeah, how are you feeling about Mitch, right? Give me your honest thoughts about Mitchell Robinson, right? We don't really know the full extent. However, that said, right, it's the same story again and again, right? How long can you continue to nurture and you know, carry along a Mitchell Robinson when it's kind of in, it's out, it's all about? What are your thoughts? When he's playing, he's amazing and he's dominant. That's the problem, though. When he's playing, when he's not playing, right? Give us some Trey Jemison. As Chris asked earlier, it's a shame, you know, Trey Jemison is on a 2-way, and I said to y'all when the season preseason was concluding, I said I would have cut Shamet or Garrison Matthews and just convert Trey Jemison, because you see in nights like tonight, Yabu in and out, Mitch out, Huck Porty struggling with some foul trouble. We are light. I think we are light in sort of defensive-minded bigs, right? With Yabu and Cat healthy, we're not light on bigs per se, but we are light on defensive-minded bigs that could protect the paint and defend, fam. Now, fortunately, we didn't even really get Miles Turner action tonight, man. Miles Turner didn't even really hurt us, and that could be a good thing and also could be concerning, because we all know Miles Turner can have a good game. He was really not that impactful for me. Buzzer says, yeah, he is frustrating as, And should we have traded him? Mellow Mike says rumors with Mitch is that he will need surgery on the ankle. That was mentioned in another podcast, not by me. I'm just reiterating what I heard. Uh, yeah, I haven't heard any reports out there, Mellow. So we definitely take that with a huge pinch of salt. But it's possible. I mean, they are keeping quiet. They are keeping quiet right now. But look, we do have Trey Jemison. We just have to manage those, minutes, games restrictions, fam, which I think is around 45 to 50, right? We've got to get Yabu back as well, fam. Um, Salute to Ricardo, says the team just doesn't look right. I think we're just in and out of a funk. 2 games in, I gotta kind of say that that's where we're at right now. We deserve to win 2, and I think we deserve to lose 2. Now, if you look at the last 2 games that we lost, you got to look at, okay, who did we lose to? Okay, the Bucks, I think, are still good enough to be in the playoff picture. So I don't think there's any shame in really losing to the Bucks with Giannis. It's disappointing, and we know we're better than the Bucks, and I think we'll be better. But I think they're going to be a playoff team. The other game, we lost to Miami on their home floor, which is opening night for them. There was a lot of energy in the building, and so I think they'll be a solid team, the Miami Heat, as well. So I think, without trying to sound like a cop out, I think the next 2 games are really going to tell us, fam, about, okay, are we just going to blow the doors off Chicago and we have our first home and home on the season, back at it on Friday night and Sunday night, fam. First game is a NBA Cup tournament where the stakes and the money is raised as we look at a potential Vegas final. The semifinal's no longer in Vegas no more, fam. Only the final is in Vegas. So maybe they're trying to get these players to focus on the game and not think about Vegas. But our first NBA Cup game is up on Friday night. How do y'all see the 2 against Chicago, fam? And you guys already beat me to it, fam. That's why you're the best out here. Chris says we have to go 1-1 against the Bulls. Can't go 0-2. I feel you on that, but I'm going to say we need to go 2-0. Fam. I know it's probably not likely because they're so tricky, these home and homes, but I'm going to say we need to go 2-0, fam. And the Bulls have had a great start, fam. 3-0, as we'll take a look around the league in a minute. As we've given out 3 sorry suspect grades tonight, fam, and continue to shout you guys out. AJ says, that's the thing. How's Mitch not ready for the regular season after a whole off-season off? And Prezi the boss says 50 CT. Yeah, AJ, great point. You have a full summer and you still can't start the season healthy. What does that mean for your chances? Look, I'm optimistic still because I'm just a glass half full kind of guy. As long as Mitch is ready for the playoffs, we can do max damage. But right now, it's kind of like maybe the regular season is going to be trickier, than anticipated. Maybe we ain't going to be looking at a 56 win season. As long as we can get into that 3rd or 2nd seed, maybe 51, 52 wins and just get over the line healthy where we can reset. And it's kind of crazy I'm talking like this so early, but we're seasoned pros right now, guys. We're vets. We've been to the playoffs last 3 seasons now. We know how it's going to go. You got to get through the regular season and get through the grind, find ways to pick up the wins and just be peaking at the right time. And that's a great time to turn over to Mike Brown in the coaches chat, sponsored by you guys, the chat, right? We've got no betting sponsors, none of that on this program. It's sponsored by you guys in the coaches chat. So let us know how you think about Mike Brown so far. Any tweaks or adjustments you would like to make, and we shout it out. Now, I know Tibbs' name is going to come up a lot this season, right? Even after every loss, it's going to be, oh, Tibbs would have done this. And after a win, it's going to go, oh, we didn't do that under Tibbs. But truth be told, we might be a worse regular season team this season than last. As I say, it's quite possible, but that doesn't mean we're a worse team overall. I think the Mike Brown approach is to spread it around and get guys more minutes. That might result in more losses. That's just the way it might go, and especially with no Des McBride and no Mitch. And so it's a bit of a mixed bag with Mike Brown, fam. I like the extended rotations, and I like that he's adapting with matchups. I'm not liking the threes as we shoot 43s tonight, fam. 13 of 40, 32%. Right. So I know we're hunting these looks, but man, you live by the three, you die by the three overall. Tendrell says won't matter if the Knicks don't get there in the playoffs. We got to get there. We got to get these wins. I think players will be better for this run though with Kolek, Huck Porty and that. I always said it last season. Now's the time to put these guys outside of their comfort zone so that when the playoffs can come, they're battle tested. My man Glenn, shout out, says CT, health is the factor nobody talked about when they said we're going to make it to that chip. Hart was hurt from preseason. Mitch is a walking injury, can't re-sign him. Tibbs wasn't playing them. He knew. So yeah, Glenn, like health first and foremost is the major factor, and yeah, that's why I think playing extended rotation, hopefully in the long run, and when we're looking back on this season, we can say, okay, phew, thank God Mike Brown, extended these guys' minutes. Yeah, like nights like tonight, I think we could have won the game if we didn't sit or need to sit Brunson that long. So it is a trade, fam, that we are, looking like we're trying to take. As I pull up the team stats once again, fast break points, we got killed. Second chance points, though, we won slightly. Points in the paint, we got killed as well. We won the rebounding as well, so that was helpful, but 42% from the field is terrible. We let Milwaukee shoot 55 and also 42% from downtown. Man, that's not going to cut it, and we only shoot 32%. So I mentioned the game plan. Look, Mike Brown is going to have to learn to play Giannis better, I think. Play him 1v1 straight up. That's what I would do. Now, thankfully, we made that run in the second quarter. Otherwise, this game could have got ugly real quick. So I do like the minutes from Shamet, who got the start, and I like some of the minutes from Kolek. But look, like I said, Brunson can't just carry us to victories. We need more out of Karl Anthony Towns, and if Hart is going to play the minutes he's going to play, man, 26 minutes minus 18, man, that's telling, fam. As Buzzer says, health is the sixth man. Darren Salute says Knicks will be fine. Very wise thoughts here. I agree. We're figuring things out. It might be a bumpy start, but yeah, let's try to put our foot down now as we face Chicago twice. And then we have Washington. Well, man, that second Chicago game is the start of a back-to-back. So hopefully Mike Brown definitely goes deeper into the rotation. Diawara, Trey Jemison needs minutes in that one. Also, we have no sign of when Mitch is going to make his season debut. Can you guys guess when is that going to happen? A lot of home games coming up right now. And then Minnesota, they gave us a nice push in the preseason. Brooklyn, Memphis, Orlando. So the Knicks need to capitalize in November, fam, and get above 500 in that month, right? And we have a little road trip as well. So interesting times right now. Prezi the boss, yeah, you said it. Casey Smith needs to earn his money, fam. Official sixth man. Look, my heart was in my mouth when Brunson went down, but as he always does, man, he rises like the Undertaker and comes back out and continues to play hard and dominate. But yeah, the poll is moving right now. We have a 45% just need Deuce and Mitch back. Cat is hurt, 26%. Tied at 26% is the bench. is suspect. Look, Hart was terrible tonight. Deuce McBride is a huge catalyst, but I don't even know if we really look at Deuce as a bench player anymore, fam. He's kind of like a starter, in my opinion. Anytime we're playing a small ball team. So yeah, my thing is Hart, 26 minutes, minus 18. Like that, and I appreciate all the hustle and the energy Hart brings, but it was so glaringly obvious tonight when Hart was out there, the Knicks could not generate good offense. You're right. For the obvious reasons, but for however you want to interpret. But we weren't able to get good spacing. We weren't able to get, uh, you know, separation and easy looks when Josh Hart was out there. And it's no coincidence he was minus 18. Fam. We were just getting killed when he was out there, fam. Together with a cat on a bung leg. So that's why he gets the suspect, man. Definitely in this one. Um, Now, great questions coming through the building. Chris says, CT, do you think it'll be a good idea for Hart to get that surgery on the finger now, since it's early in the season? Um, I gotta. He's stubborn about it. He seems to downplay it. It's definitely factoring in. So yeah, if I'm Casey Smith, Chris, and I feel like it could benefit us in the long term, get him back before the playoffs, get it done. And it kind of begs the question, Chris, why didn't he just get it done earlier? He said he got to play with that splint, all season. And so hopefully, it can come correct with that. Buzzer says, CT, you can't be a Knicks fan and be a half glass full kind of guy. It's an oxymoron. Yeah, you're right, man. I guess some of the other sporting teams I follow, man, try to keep me up. Definitely when the Knicks take these losses. But no, look, overall, on a serious note, I feel like we're just headed in the right direction. And there might be some turbulence along the way, but I think we're going to get to our destination, fam. However way we get there, man, by hook or by crook, we are going to get there, fam. Even if we have to hijack the plane, you and I, and take control of that plane and get us to where we need to go, I do think we're going to get there. Uh, I just think every season's brand new, and we're probably going to say this a lot, but some of us maybe underestimated some of the other teams. I know everybody's saying the East is weak, and all of that. And yes, possibly from top to bottom, most of the East is weak. But that doesn't mean that teams like Milwaukee, Chicago, even like Miami, it's not going to mean that they're going to be easy beats, right? You take one good player out of our team, and we're less of a team. And so, I'm looking for the coach. I'm looking for other guys to step up. And look, Yabusele, right? I know he ain't been playing well, so it ain't the best name to bring up, but he was a big pickup. Yabusele was a huge pickup in the offseason, one of our marquee additions, right? He was not able to play tonight. So we're not only talking about Cat and Cat injured, Hart hurting, and Deuce and Mitch out. We're talking about Yabusele, who didn't play either. And so we're definitely testing our depth. Tick for Kolek and a tick for Landry Shamet, in my opinion. And I'm going to give Mike Brown a pass in this one. I don't really think Mike Brown did anything that hurt us too much. I thought he brought Brunson back in the game early enough. He gave Huck Porty a chance. I mean, the big bodega let him down in a way. And look, I guess one major criticism is he should have just sat Hart, but early in the season, he probably didn't want to hurt his confidence. Uh, So that's a good point. What do you guys think about that? Maybe he just didn't want to bench Hart because it's the fourth game of the season. But we need to make some tough decisions, fam, because that was terrible, minus 18. As Mellow Mike says, Hart won't get that surgery because it'll affect his contract. And in case of some reason the Knicks win the chip, that they also come into play. Yeah, it depends on the timeline, I think, fam, and how quickly he could get back. Um, we kind of had that same thing with Julius. We were all hopeful that Julius could just come back, but he waited, and then he had to get that surgery in the end. So it was kind of a waste of time in the end. Um, yeah, we've been through the lumps, fam, and yeah, definitely some guys half glass empty, gla- uh, glass half full. But the thing is, guys, I'm relative to the expectations, and I'm going to be a lot harsher on this team this season because of the expectations. You know, you see Wembanyama coming as we're going to take a look around the league now. You see Washington's young pieces look nice. You see VJ Edgecombe start to dominate. You see the help around Wembanyama with some of their picks. Right, our window ain't going to stay open for too long, so we do need to be harsh on this thing, and we do need to capitalize on our chances because it is going to be tough, real tough. Um, and, I don't want to really bring up Draymond Green, but I think his point about the East being unable to beat anyone out West in the finals, right? It's going to be tough. Even if we can get to the finals, beating Oklahoma is going to be tough. Um, so as we take a look at tonight's action, fam, wow, the Washington Wizards and the 76ers went to OT, and the Sixers pull out another gritty win. So the Sixers, like I said before, are starting to make waves now. There's talk that they might push aside Joel Embiid and empower the youth with VJ, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and Quentin Grimes out there as well. So, man, hell's gonna freeze over if the 76ers were able to beat us. Man, that would be crazy. Uh, the Heat, dominant win in this one. The Thunder picked up a statement victory, and the Bucks obviously got their win, and the Warriors and the Clippers, man, are doing battle. So only 5 games tonight. A lot of eyes, a lot of attention were on the New York Knicks in this one. As I bring up the table, right? So I think the Sixers will go 4-0. Now let me refresh. Yes, so the Sixers are on top, fam, 4-0. Like way too early to kind of to gauge, but that's a solid start, man. That's a really good start. The Bulls, the Heat, solid start. Cavaliers starting to get going. The Bucks and the Knicks right there as well. And who's underachieving right now? Man, the Hawks, the Raptors, the Magic look like they're struggling. And the Celtics and the Pacers, fam, might just turn over to the tank game. And we have the Pistons right behind us, the Hornets, along with the Knicks on 2-2 on the season. And so, man, hopefully, these next 2 games we can really start to get rolling. Really like what Midi Bridges is able to give us. Um, he looks really activated under Mike Brown. Um, I guess Landry Shamet, good signs that he's got going. And I think Landry, it does look like they're going to, call upon Landry Shamet a hell of a lot this season. Um, Chris says that's a big if for Embiid, 100%. Ricardo says the Raptors, ATL, Milwaukee Pacers, and Miami always give the Knicks hell. I think some of our stuff, fam, is self-inflicted as well. We play a really good second quarter, and then we just give it back. You know, as Buzzer, I agree with Buzzer here. 20 games is the real benchmark. That's where we're really going to be able to tell, man, who's the men from the boys in this one. Um, yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Too with the reg season, uh, we all see how much of a difference maker Mitch is out there. And Deuce. Our defense is just unbelievable when those guys are out there, and so we just have to hold the fort. And I don't want to make excuses because every team could deal with some injuries, right? And I just need everyone else to recognize the situation and step up, right? So some concerns: Yabusele, Hart off the bench. Some concerns with the backup point guard as Kolek continues to find his feet. Uh, Concerns with Cat and the injury situation, concerns with Deuce and Mitch, and obviously um, Yabusele, right? And the positives are Brunson and Macau look ready to go, man. They look ready for a game 7 tomorrow. Who else is looking okay? OG, would love OG to kind of be more consistent offensively. Um, but yeah, and Shamit. Uh, Clarkson. Clarkson was another, I think, solid performer tonight, right? We need more from him moving forward off that bench with some of the other guys, really struggling right now. D. Grant, not high on Shamit at all. I don't think tonight's a night to criticize Shamit, but yeah, if you're not high on him overall, I get it. But I think tonight, Shamit hit big shots. Uh, could we have done better to fill out our bench? I mean, I guess we could have, but we're really relying a lot on Clarkson and Yabu. Damn, that they were the kind of marquee pickups. And look, if we are found out this season off our bench, there will be some questions that need to be answered about Diawara, some of the draft picks, McCullough, Kolek. You know, you do have some some players that we did pass up on who are looking real nice. You look at what's his name out in OKC. Um, he's looking real nice. You have Terrence Shannon Jr. as well, who's a really aggressive offensive player. Um, so yeah, the guy that used to be with the Thunder, AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell was a guy that we could have picked up, passed up on him. We did pass up on, like I said, the other guy, Terrence Shannon Jr. as well, just to name a few. So I'm not giving up on our young guys, but like I say, if we do need help this season and we struggle, the focus will turn to some of these guys. And what are we doing with them? Are we developing them? You know, are they going to get a shot with Dardier? He's a first round draft pick and a wing. Um, would like to see him out there. Kolek's getting a chance now. Diawara looked pretty solid in the other game 1. Played 30 seconds tonight, which was, kind of a puzzling situation. Um, Let me kind of pull up some quotes, see if we can get some post-game quotes from Mike Brown. Continue to shout you guys out. Salute to everyone in the building. Please hit that like button, help out the stream, and I really, really appreciate you rocking with us. Mike Brown was asked why the Knicks didn't uphold the standard in the second half. He says, we're still trying to find our way a little bit. Maybe we need to get hit in the mouth a few times to really respect it and understand it. So, interesting quotes from Mike Brown. How are you guys feeling about that? One thing I appreciate about Mike Brown is he is going to give us more in terms of his honesty. Tibbs was very protective of the players, and Mike Brown won't do that. He will criticize a bit more. D says Yabu got to lose some weight. Yep, definitely agree with that. And I do feel like he will help us though this season. Hopefully he can get into better shape. Jay Dragon's with us down on the team. I saw your comment earlier on the other stream. You want us to get a real center right now, and that is a talking point. We don't know when Mitch is going to come back, but do we have adequate backup right now? Huck Porty's learning on the fly, and I usually don't go in on a young fella too much, so early in their career. But yeah, he's not up to it right now on a consistent basis. I feel to fill that void. Now, can he be a bench player? Absolutely, he can and help us. But when Huck Porty's having to start and get major minutes against, and defend guys like Giannis, we will see those growing pains. But I think Kolek can hold his head up high. I think, if he can make steady improvements from game to game to game, I can see a world where Tyler Kolek earns that spot completely, on a permanent basis. But right now, I think he's auditioning. I think it's early in the season. I do think Tyler Kolek's still auditioning for that. And if we let's say we lose 3 or 4 in a row, Mike Brown might need to tighten those strings. You know, he might need to tighten that rotation a tiny bit. But I mean, look, things can change so much when you get a Deuce McBride back. And thankfully, I guess a silver lining, and once again, thoughts and blessings for whatever he's dealing with, and hopefully that is okay. But once Deuce gets back, because he's not injured, right? That is the positive. He's not injured. So when Deuce is, okay and able to go, we'll be a completely different team because he can start and he can score, he can defend, and I think he's going to have a career season. Gray says Philly 4-0. You are what your record says. Jay says Mitch is an offensive liability and Huck ain't much better. I want to bring up that play, and yeah, while Huck, I think has a bit more in his bag than Mitch. I do think we're going to do a better job acknowledging the situation here on this play. I thought, and this can kind of really affect a guy's defensive effort, right? He makes a good position, rolls hard. Look, Huck Porty, that would have been an open dunk or layup. Looked him off. The second play, Clarkson drove into traffic, and Huck was under the basket. Clarkson looked him off again. That's a simple read that 2 Knicks players have missed, and Huck Porty's got to be thinking, man, what do I got to do to get an easy bucket for us? That's why you kind of see him floating in and out of games because he just ain't getting touches, and you need to feed the big man because the defense will collapse, and then you can get those paint sprays and the kickouts. That's what Mike Brown's talking about with the paint sprays. Right now, it's dribble, 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 dribble into traffic, kick it out. No separation available on that one. So, but look, it is what it is. I want to put this one in the rear view right now. I think the Knicks 2-2, still way too early to kind of figure out where we sit in the East. But the positive is that we beat 2 of the teams that we weren't able to beat last season, and we looked good doing it. We had our moments against Miami that we could have pulled that one out. But again, old habits die hard, and we fell into a funk and lost that one on the road. Now, this game tonight on the road as well. And so, not too down about losing a game on the road against Giannis, going crazy. But the facts are that Mike Brown is, he might needing to be, trusting some other guys soon, right? With Yabu out of shape, Hart struggling, and also some young fellas that might be more hungry and might get more of an opportunity. Chris says CT agreed. It's still a bit too early. Yeah. Prezi says first Tyler Nash didn't play much last season. So this is his rookie year, and he has to get to the point that the NBA speed slows down for him. Yeah, agree with Prezi, the boss, on this one. I do think that what you do is you kind of give him small minutes and then you elevate those minutes slowly, as he starts to feel more comfortable, starts to really impact the game, and then you could start to play him more. Now, just on the Mike Brown front, one thing I want to say is I don't think we saw enough Brunson Clarkson, right? It was too much Josh Hart. Now, a Brunson Clarkson looked really good in some of those minutes we've seen earlier in the season. I think it was against Boston or Cleveland in preseason. So basically what he was trying to do with Deuce and Brunson, but if you could substitute that for Clarkson and Brunson for now, I think that might be a look that he could go to. We just got to find ways to get Clarkson going more because, he's more of an offensive threat, I think, than Josh Hart. I do think he's been a bit underwhelming so far, but I do think we could really get him going, and he could be a difference maker for us as we look to the bench. I mean, it's either that or it's Dardier, a couple of two-way guys. I mean, I want us to play McCullough, but he's on a two-way. Diawara, 30 seconds, man. That's kind of funny, man. Maybe it was just the defensive sequence that I missed in that one. But yeah, Trey Jemison, I think, can really bring something to the table with his energy and his ability to rebound and be physical. But the tricky thing is he's on a two-way contract as well. So again, we've got to manage those minutes. So let's do a little prediction time now, and then we'll wrap this one up. But we've got Chicago, 2 games, Washington, Minnesota, Brooklyn, Memphis, Orlando. And I'll stop it there, right? And then the second, right after that is the second NBA Cup game against Miami, where we'll hopefully get some revenge. But if I do the whole stretch here with Chicago twice, Washington, Minnesota, Brooklyn, Memphis, Orlando, right? If we are serious, right? If we are fully serious, my hope is that we beat Chicago both games, and I hope that we can beat Washington as well, right? So 3 in a row, right? That'll let me know that, okay, we're here, we've arrived, you know? If we can go 5-2, that'll give us some daylight. Beat Chicago twice and then beat Washington. That'll let me know 5-2, we're serious. Minnesota, that's a little fork in the road game as well, right? Where we at against Minnesota? They'll be looking for revenge. And then Brooklyn should be an easy win. Memphis, you never know what you're going to get, I think, when it comes to Memphis. They could be good or they could be awful. But the tricky thing is that's a back-to-back as well, where we do face Orlando too, fam. So my prediction is going to be up until the Orlando game. So that is 7 games. So the next 7 games, I think we're going to go 5-2, fam. 5-2 or 6-1 would be great. It'll be 6-1 if we can beat Minnesota. I think if we can beat Minnesota, it'll be 6-1. But I could see us dropping easily. I could see us dropping that game and maybe one of the Memphis Orlando games. But if you win the next 3, then you're really starting to look up, and I think confidence will start to grow. And then you've got Brooklyn, should be a nice feel-good night, playing a tanking Brooklyn where you could get some young guys going. Energy will be in the building. Jay Dragon says, if we are serious, LOL, or 3 and 4, or 3 of 7. Yeah. 3 and 4 would be very disappointing, fam. 3 and 4 would be very disappointing. But look, it's going to be a test, man. Chicago are 3-0, and they've got Ayo Dosunmu playing well with Martus Buzelis, Josh Giddey. But look, every season, a team kind of starts off well and has a nice little pop. And hopefully Yabusele can get going real soon. And hopefully, yeah, like I said, man, if we're serious, and I'm going to approach this season like that, we really need to have that mindset of what is the goal, right? Yes, playoffs mean the most this season. I'm not going to lie. The playoffs are the most important thing, but it's how we look as well, right? We brought most of the core back from last season, right? We've made some solid additions, so we haven't got worse as a roster. We've got better. So our record, in theory, should be better in a weakened East. So the pressure will start to mount, right? If they can't get some consistency going and rattle, 3-4 wins on the bounce, or 4 and 5, or 5 wins out of 6, that kind of thing, then we're just kind of treading, on the treadmill, and so need some more guys to step up, and let's see, fam. Coaching up Cat, Mike Brown's got some challenges on his hands. Deciding how much to play Josh Hart, that's going to be a key decision that he is going to have to make, ladies and gentlemen. Daras salute says Mitch will be back end of April. Hopefully a lot sooner, fam. And I do think he will be back a lot sooner than that. But truth is, man, if and when he's back, we've got to then manage his minutes, right? This is a setback when it comes to Mitch. But the positive is that some younger guys are going to get more chances, and hopefully that has them ready, I think, for the postseason, right? Buzzer Beater says, I wanted Brogdon, but he was not serviceable. The thing is, yeah, Brogdon just didn't want it. You know, he wasn't hungry enough. You know, and I guess like last season when Brunson was out, OG really stepped up, and we're going to need more from OG offensively. If Cat is down, if Hart is down, we're going to need OG to be Robin alongside Macau, because Brunson needs more help to beat some of these teams, and some of these teams have made some quality pickups, right? Ryan Rollins is finding his way in this league. He always hurts us. And AJ Green as well. You know, frustrating guy to let loose. But yeah, Giannis was the guy that just really hurt us in this one as well. And so with that, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Again, we'll be live post-game Friday night Knicks, where the Knicks will hopefully beat Chicago for the first one out of a home and home. Hit that like button. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts on what is next. As the winner in tonight's poll, fam, I can't forget to close the poll. Right, the winner in what concerns you the most, 42% say we just need Deuce and Mitch back. 29% say the bench is suspect. Right, so that takes the second spot. Third spot at 27% is Cat is sorry and hurt right now, and that is a major concern. And the other thing, last but not least, is the backup point guard at just 2%. So you guys ain't too worried about the backup point guard spot with Kolek. And we need to see how that plays out with Jordan Clarkson as well. So yeah, apologies for the change up in the music as well. We will have our theme song back real soon, Buzzer. Hoping to get that sorted real quick. I'm just basically in a rights negotiation to extend the rights of our main theme song as well. It's not a free track. So just dealing with the artist, and hopefully gonna mix it up, and obviously get our anthem going. But obviously we play that when we win, and I do try to mix it up. Obviously when we win and when we lose too. So we are definitely going to get a lot more wins than losses this season, guys. So keep your head up, and big up to everyone out here. Let's get the win on the next one. Peace.